With this tariff war, our guest says these extreme measures by Trump are a wake-up call, forcing this country to tackle, among other things, the issue of interprovincial trade. We are joined by Daryl Ching. He's the managing partner with Vistance Capital Advisory. It's great to see you. You work with small businesses a lot, and we've heard some commentary from CIBC, for example, that there isn't that much scope to cut costs imposed by interprovincial trade barriers, but you think this is a significant problem?
I do think there's a significant problem, and I don't agree with that assessment. From my perspective, of course, Trump's tariffs are devastating, but he's given us a gift. He's created an unprecedented level of patriotism in Canada, where Canadians want to buy Canada, and we do make it difficult, particularly in a few industries: transportation, construction, food, and professional services. What you're generally going to find when you look at the landscape is that we have regulatory bodies that don't have much teeth. And really what happens is...
Competition authority, or what do you mean, sorry, regulatory authorities?
So, for example, in the food industry of Health Canada, but there are different set of rules in different provinces. So if I'm a food business and I want to sell in different provinces, I still need to get provincial approval across different provinces.
Right.
And Quebec tends to be the most difficult to get compliance with. They deviate the most from national standards. BC and Ontario have nuances that make it difficult as well. I would say Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba are the most flexible and comply most with national standards. And the Atlantic provinces are somewhere in the middle.
That's interesting. I do remember Jason Kenney in Alberta. Apparently, he made some unilateral moves to bring down tariffs. Non-tariff barriers, and he didn't wait for other provinces to do it. But I guess bureaucrats in every province, they want to justify their existence. They
do, but I think we had the luxury of being able to sell to the U.S. market. We had access to the largest consumer market in the world. We don't have that anymore. So I don't think that we can make the assumption that it's there. You were referring to an agreement actually referred to as the New West Trade Partnership Agreement, which was an agreement that was struck in 2010 between BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan that facilitated a lot of the compliance issues and made it easier to facilitate trade and get compliance. Manitoba joined in 2017, and that really has created a framework for other provinces to join. So in fact, Doug Ford has been asked to join that partnership agreement as well as a stepping stone in the right direction. So there is a framework already in place that could work.
It's interesting. One point you make is that all this bureaucracy, big companies have teams of lawyers, but small companies, it's very tough for them to navigate it. It imposes a real cost on them.
Exactly. And with our clients, they either just cannot enter those provinces at all, or they have certain products that they can't sell in certain provinces because the standards are different, right? If we look at the transportation industry as an example, there are different rules and regulations when it comes to the size and weight of trucks. And with Quebec being the lowest weight limit at 59,000 kilograms, BC has a requirement for you to get a mountain driving permit. And the lockup chain laws are different in BC as well. So these are some examples that make it difficult. So if you're transporting goods across the country, you have to be fully aware of each of these restrictions. And if I have an oversized truck, I need a special permit in Ontario or Quebec. So all these things just add red tape, add time and effort, add cost, and makes it prohibitive for small businesses to spread across Canada. So what a lot of them do is they say, you know what, let me just get approval from one federal regulator in the U.S. and access a 340 million market.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, you hear that entrepreneurs is the bane of their existence. They have to run the business and then spend all night filling out forms.
Yeah, and I don't think this is value add when you're looking at compliance. Think about what has been happening since the Trump announcement. Companies have been rushing to lawyers and accountants and talking about how to get around compliance. This is not innovation. This is not research. This is not adding value to the economy. So the best thing we can do right now is remove those barriers amongst ourselves so that we have an open market for 40 million people across the country.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Just get rid of all requirements. I mean, it's an attractive idea, isn't it? But there's always going to be somebody arguing, oh, we need this.
Yeah, but if you watch sci-fi movies, when aliens invade the planet, the countries have to band together for survival. We're kind of in that mode right now because the impact of the tariffs is going to be devastating. You have a bully with a loaded gun pointed at our heads and he's very unpredictable. We have to band together to survive. And I think that there will be a lot of political will for all the countries to find a common ground, come up with a strong federal regulator and standardize the rules across the country, across industries, because if they don't, they'll be left out. And there will be a province with businesses that cannot access the U.S. market and have barriers in the Canadian market as well. And that's a repercussion.
With only 30 seconds, it does feel like this country has been sleepwalking economically with the decline in our median income compared to the United States, for example.
I do believe that. And I do think that we have gotten complacent. I don't think that we've had a government that's been friendly for business. I think the two incumbents coming in are going to make a change. Like, are you aware that the carbon tax is going up 20% next month in April?
But Carney's getting rid of it.
So we have Carney who says he's going to scrap it, and we have Poilievre who doesn't agree with it. But because we're in this limbo, we don't know what to expect, and the tax is going to go through anyways.
That's interesting. Daryl, thanks. Always great hearing from you.